And then let me share screen. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was how to submit the reflection paper. And you're going to have multiple reflection papers as we go on. So it's really helpful if you can figure it out now because it'll obviously be beneficial in the future. So the first part is your introduction. There's 5 parts to each paper, and then you'll submit the paper for every unit. And the first, everything is right here on D2L2. So this is just like the template, and we want you to try to follow it as closely as you can. So the first thing would be the introduction, and then you're going to talk about the themes that were relevant to each unit. So for the first unit, it's talking about race and ethnicity and citizenship. I don't know if you can see my cursor, but it's right here on what you wanted you to follow. And then you're going to talk about 2 sources, and your 2 sources can come from anywhere. He provided some sources if you have really trouble trying to find something. The sources can be found right over here in the required reading section. And then the next part in your paper is going to be the inside episode, and you'll find this, it's also right here, in required comedy episodes to watch on Netflix. And those, I think there's 5 different ones you can choose from for the first unit. So you'd write, or you'd watch the video and then you would write about it. You would write a summary of the video and then just what's relevant to each unit. So you don't have to summarize the whole video, but rather like if it's talking about like race in this category, like whenever race comes up, that would be a good thing to summarize for section 2. And then to also make a connection to the video. So that would be section 2. And then the third part is to find an outside source. So this could be any comedy thing. It could be a stand-up comedy, it could be another episode. And if you need help trying to find something, I would recommend downloading Peacock. It's another streaming service, and it's totally free to use. And then any of these like videos are all free to watch as long as they don't have this little purple feather on it. And so like, for example, like Everybody Hates Chris would be a perfect one to talk about for the race one. And then I found one that talks about race specifically in it. So season 1, episode 21 deals with race a lot. So that's just like one idea. And then there's a bunch of other videos you can choose in here for your outside source. I know George Lopez, you have to buy it, but that'd be a good one too. 30 Rock would be a good one. Obviously, Parks and Rec would be a good one too. So any outside source you want, the only requirement is it has to be a comedy source since this is a comedy class. So, but it could be anything. And Peacock was just one idea. If you want to use, it's right on here, but if you want to use Hulu or Amazon Prime, that's fine too. And then the 4th and 5th sections are the most important in my opinion. That's where you're going to make your conclusions and like the connection to the source to your own life. So even if you think you might not be affected by race exactly, or maybe ethnicity, we guarantee that there's a connection somehow. And you could find that with, like, for example, my grandparents, they're both from Germany, so they experienced a lot of backlash when they moved to the US, like 80 years ago. So that would be something like, even though it didn't affect me, it definitely affected my grandparents, which in turn affected me too. So that's super relevant. And this is probably your most important part, is to make that connection. And then for the 5th section, that's your conclusion. It's how you think whatever the topic is connects to you and then as to society as a whole. So this is where you're going to wrap up your whole paper and to make any final conclusions that you have. And then the last little part would just be to cite your references. This is all supposed to be in APA format. If you're not sure what APA format is, if you use OWL at Purdue, if you just Google search that, it'll come up with everything you need to know. It's pretty self-explanatory. I'm sure a lot of you guys used MLA in high school, and that's like okay for high school, but we're going to try to transition to APA because it'll help you with all your other college courses. You're going to use APA a lot more in the future, so that's super helpful. There was a couple people who asked how you turn in assignments, so I'm just going to talk about that really quick. If so, I'll go home and then I'll be like, you're just logging in. So it'll pop up here with all of your classes, and then you can just click on the relevant class. And then this is where all the announcements are. Before you do anything else, I would definitely check on all of the announcements, because that's where you post like a lot of important things you need to know. Even like just like check-in stuff, like this was super nice of him to post this too, but it's just telling you like when things are due and what's due too, which is obviously super helpful. I think that was everything for this. And then if you go to assignments, which is a category, let me switch to student view. If you go to assignments on here, it literally pops up with everything you need to turn in. I don't know, maybe that's not what you want. Hold on one sec. Yeah, so this is more like what your screen's gonna look like, but you would just click on the assignment, and then you're able to submit stuff in through that, and then it also pops up with everything you need to know. I think like when you click on this, it should pop up with the little outline that he made for you guys. Above everything, I would follow that like specifically, because that'll help you with everything. And especially with how you are supposed to like cite all of your information, I think that's going to be super helpful for everyone. Let's see, is there anything else? I know some people wanted some stuff. Oh, I know. I wanted to show Netflix really quick. For other ideas for outside comedy source, there's a bunch. I'm sure most of you guys have Netflix, but if you just search stand up, like in the search button, it should pop up with a lot of like really funny things that obviously deal with like social issues. I think even like Dave Chappelle is obviously perfect. I'm sure all of these guys have some like good things that would be relevant for this first section. Race is so broad, and now we're talking about it more as a society. It'll be easier to come up with sources because everyone's talking about it a little bit more. So if you need any help with that, I would definitely search Netflix, and then if you go to Peacock, they have other ones on there too. Professor Boucher and I had been talking about, we talked about how The Office and Parks and Rec are both going off of Netflix, and supposedly they're coming to Peacock. So I would definitely look into getting it. It's free to sign up to, and then if you want to purchase it, I think it's only $5 a month. So it's even less than Netflix is. But I think Parks and Rec is going on here in October, and then The Office is coming in January. So both of those are going to be off at some point. So it might be a good thing to look into getting this. So I think that was everything. Do you have any questions? I went really fast.
No, I'm all good.
Okay, cool. That was pretty much everything, mostly just covering stuff and then some clarifying questions, because I've gotten a lot of questions lately. So if you do have any questions, go ahead and just shoot me an email, because I check it all the time, even nighttime. So
Well, thank you so much.
yeah, of course. Thanks for coming too. I really appreciate it. It would have been so awkward if it was just me. So
All right.